Welcome to the Sleevy G Show. I'm the host with your most, Gomez. Tonight, I have a special guest. We do have another Canadian in the house, but he's a good friend of mine. It's Andres from the Latin Jukebox. Andres, what's going on, man?
Hey, my man. Thank you very much for inviting me to the show. I was looking at when we recorded, and it was kind of exactly a year ago when we recorded for the Latin Jukebox.
Oh
And
my God.
like, it's a very, very wonderful coincidence. So thank you very much for inviting me to your show. I know you guys are kicking it out of the stadium with your shows, and of course, we all miss Playlist Wars, but these two shows that you guys have are wonderful. Thank you very much for bringing a lot of music and topics and very good uh, things. For example, that Peruvian restaurant, man, that's something I need to visit.
Yeah, that's Diana at Soba de Peru. She's a good friend of mine. What's funny is that restaurant was where I was from in Rutherford. So when I moved up here, there was no good Hispanic restaurants in this area. And then I saw an ad saying they're in this area. I'm like, no way, this can't be the same people. Turns out it was, and boom, she took over the business 4 months before COVID hit.
Oh yeah, no,
And
the
let me tell you,
stories.
she's unbelievable, man. She's untrained chef. She knows how to cook. She does it all, man. And I just saw her recently, and I told her I can't wait to get her back on. We're gonna bring her back on in a little bit. I want her to get her food out there, and I want to see how it goes. Um, but she was exciting. You know, I had Brian on my first one, and episode 3 was Jason. We talked some video games.
Yeah. You guys talked about Tony Hawk.
Yeah, and that
Is
brought back some memories.
Yeah, of course it did. Of course it did. No, I'm following you guys and I appreciate what you guys are doing. I learn a lot from you guys. So I appreciate it. And thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh,
It's a pleasure for me.
well, I know we were trying to get you on Playlist Wars, but we didn't get a chance to, so I apologize on that. But
No,
with like I said, here I am on my own a little bit. This is more like, let's just shoot the shit here. You know what I mean? This is what it is now. Conversations. And you brought up a great topic to talk about. And it's kind of funny. It looks like you went back to the old Playlist Wars podcast.com and started looking at what we didn't do. And one of the ones we were talking about, and it's kind of funny, I think it's on the schedule, but we never got to it, was 90s one hit wonders. And there's some nostalgia to this, So, I've been wanting to talk about this. And the funny thing is, you reminded me about it, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
mhm,
Um, because it brings back a lot of memories, and there was a ton of great songs, but again, we're not going to be doing like playlist wars. We're just going to pick 10 that we like a lot, and we're just going to talk about it for a couple minutes, and we're just going to see what happens from here. It's
of
it's like it's
course.
a fun loving show. That's what I call it now.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And the reason why yeah, you were right. I basically run through all the all the playlists from Playlist Wars, and I saw, okay, they did this, oh, but I don't see a one-hit wonder show from the 90s. So maybe that's a good topic that we can just tackle, make have a very good conversation on it, and turns out it works. So yeah, I picked and the 90s. I graduated from high school on the year 2000.
Oh,
So then,
so I just graduated high school in 99.
oh, you see?
So we're right there together.
Yeah,
1 year apart.
we're very close. We're very, very close. So that decade defined a lot of my musical taste, a lot of my mm, very good songs, and it's unfortunate that these songs or these artists
Mhm.
didn't get to know or didn't have like more explosive hits like the ones that we're gonna talk about tonight. It's sad.
It's sad, but I have a couple that ended up being pretty big, and I got a couple that were not that big. So it's kind of a combination of oh, how could I say my combination of music for the 90s is a little weird. There's some hip hop. Well, I wouldn't call it hip hop. I'll probably call it pop. There's definitely some rock, and there's definitely some drinking songs. So, in that case, let's just start off. What are you thinking is your first song that you always loved?
One of the first songs that came to my mind when I was doing my list is "The Bad Touch" by Bloodhound Gang. This song it came actually in 1999, and that song basically recreated a lot of funny things that caught my attention when I mean I was a
That's
teenager basically.
that's
So
one of them. That's
these kind of images and the monkeys and all the things they do, they were really fun to me, and the song is very catchy as well. So of course I needed to bring from this album Hurrays and Boobies from 1999. And I think the music of this song is based on another song, and I think it's from the Pet Shop Boys, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think
But
it was. I just don't remember. Where's Brian when you need him right now? he would
yeah,
he would have had that one answered for both of us.
that's when we need Brian, eh?
I know, right? Well, one
But
song that's a great song though, too. You know what I mean? I was thinking about picking that song. I was like watching the video, I remember, and I'm like, holy Christ, these guys pushed it to a little bit to the limit, you know,
yeah.
with the song at the 90's, because still at that point, you know, our country doesn't matter if it's United States or Canada, they were really trying to not show that on TV, and
Mm,
Bloodhound Gang pushed it to the limit, and
yeah,
they did a great job, and that was a great music video.
yeah, it was a great music video. Funny because the music video, I think it was recorded in France and in Paris, but the impact it had in North America was huge.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
I think it's also because they mentioned, well, the Discovery Channel and all those
Yeah.
things like that are they're very American things.
Yep.
But yeah, that would be like my first pick of the night.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. Well, you're ready to laugh on my first pick. So the guy who I'm going to talk about, he's a full blown actor now, and it's Mark Wahlberg, and he had a little bit of a hip hop. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. I'm going with Good Vibrations.
Oh
That is
wow.
talk about your one hit wonder, Marky Mark, or Mr. Wahlberg in this case. He had his album was pretty decent. I will say that. I secretly had the CD. Yes.
Oh wow.
And I heard the whole thing. It was actually pretty decent. But Good Vibrations was just one of those videos that I loved. He was raw at that point. Man was ripped then. Guy's ripped at 50 something years old now. This guy kept in shape.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's kind of funny. I kind of know why he did that, because his brother Donnie from the New Kids on the Block was in that little series of hip hop. So,
Hmm.
then as you can see, as they grown up, Donnie then wanted to be Mark because Mark was getting good movies. Donnie decided to do the movies. So it's a good family thing. Now they bring in their brother Paul into Wahlburgers. There's like the whole family tree. But I went with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. It just had that, that bass, not a drum, like the techno drums. You know what I mean? And it just set a presence. And the girl who sang in the background was so good, singing Good Vibrations, and it was just one of those songs, man.
It's amazing. It's funny how Mark Wahlberg changed, like I would say out of the sudden from singing to acting, and then
Mhm.
acting is the career that really pushes him out, right?
Yes.
But it's wonderful because these are the songs that are in our minds,
Mhm.
but we kind of needed a little bit more of them.
Yeah. I mean, he did do that movie Rockstar, in which I thought he was phenomenal in that movie, because he actually sang those songs himself, it sounded like. So to me, when you get like that, or Bradley Cooper, A Star is Born, when he's actually
Mhm.
singing, that's when you get an actor like that. Even Tom Cruise sang in that movie. I forgot the name of that.
Hmm.
Oh,
No, cocktail, no.
no, not Cocktail. Oh, what was that movie he did?
Jerry,
Uh, Tom
Jerry
Cruise.
Maguire.
Not Jerry Maguire. His name was Stacy Jacks, and it was one of those movies that everyone was singing. It was like a musical movie. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. I can't believe I forgot the name of this movie. I'm usually good at this.
No, but these
Oh,
actors,
Rock of Ages, Rock of Ages. There we go. Rock of
oh wow, rock face.
Yeah.
Imagine. And yeah, like sometimes, actually, now that you put the example,
Mhm.
Bradley Cooper, when he was singing in Star is Born,
Mhm.
I thought it wasn't his voice. At one point I thought like someone else is making the voice,
No, that was
but
him.
it was him.
Yes, it was him. It was one of those songs that he really did well. And he actually went to see Lady Gaga. I think they were in Vegas. She was doing a show. She spotted him and got him out to sing the song with her, which I thought was really cool. You know what I mean? So to see if you get to see that on concert in Vegas, that's pretty cool stuff right there.
Of
So
course, it's awesome.
I would actually I would freak out seeing that. That would be the greatest thing. So
Yeah, that's an awesome pick. Like Mark Wahlberg, and like it's wow.
yeah, so
That
it's one of those. Yes, I own the CD. Yes, I actually liked it. So it's kind of funny. I will admit to it. So
wow.
what are we going on for our next one here, Andres? What do we got?
I'm I'm gonna go back in time
Oh,
because the first song was from 1999, and now this song is exactly 1990.
so we're
So
taking it back. We're bringing it
yeah,
back.
we're bringing it back to a one-hit wonder, but it's a classic. And I actually it was one of the songs that kind of engaged me
Okay.
to learn English. And the song is Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. Mm,
Wow.
it's well, it was, I don't know if you knew this, but it was composed by Prince in 1985. And actually,
I remember back in the day, yeah, hearing about that.
uh, Prince had a side project called The Family, and he composed the song for that project. But then comes this Irish girl in 1990, and she puts it in an album called I Do Not Want What What I Haven't Got.
Hmm.
And it became a massive hit. One of those ballads that it's not a power ballad, but it's a ballad that basically mm, is so explosive. It became a one-hit wonder.
What a shame it was a one-hit wonder. I thought Sinead O'Connor had a few hits, but she was known for Nothing Compares. That is such a powerful song, though. I was thinking about that again. There were so many songs, and I was hearing it today. I was like, wow, I didn't realize how powerful that song is until now. As you get older, you realize how good the music are in the 80s and the 90s and some of the 2000s too.
Mm,
The messages that are now as we're learning as adults. Because when we were younger at that point, high school kids, grade school kids, you're like, wow, this is a great song, but you don't really think about
didn't think about it.
the lyrics. But now here we are in 2023 talking about it. And truly, that's an awesome pick, man. That's a great pick.
And that's one of those songs that actually taught me a little bit of English because that's one of those songs that comes slow
Mhm.
to kind of pick the words, kind of
Yeah,
understand the meaning of of the song. So I really got engaged with this one. And well, similar like that one, I have a lot of power ballads,
right.
but this one
That's
is a one-hit wonder
it
that
is.
I just needed to put it on the table.
And that's a great one too. So I actually have another one-hit wonder, and I don't know what it is about this song that I love so much. It's just got a great rock beat. But the band is called Seven Mary Three, Cumbersome.
Hmm.
Now, they are a decent rock band, and the fact that they call themselves Seven Mary Three is a funny story. There's a story behind that too. The TV show in the late 70s, Chips.
Oh, there,
So
there's a
Frank,
movie.
yeah,
There's
there's
a
a
movie.
movie. There's a movie, but they referred it back to the back in the day
Uh-huh.
Chips, not the new one. So Seven Mary Three was their call number in the show. So it's like Seven Mary Three and Four on the roll. So when they said that, so they made the band. Another song that just was very good. It, the way he sung the song for this was just a great one-hit wonder. And it's again, I wouldn't call it a power ballad, but it's more like it's got that little rock edge to it. You know what I mean? Enough for
Mm.
it's alternative to a good rock song. So, it's a great song. If you haven't heard it, check them out. Seven Mary Three, Cumbersome.
I am writing it down because I really want to listen to that one.
Yeah.
It sounds very interesting because those are those songs that stay in our heads,
Mhm.
and with time, for one reason or another, you don't forget about them.
Nope.
They are still there.
No, I mean, when I listen to Spotify, sometimes I hit the 90s one hit wonders and boom, that song comes on pretty quickly. I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah, I know it's a wonderful pick. I'm gonna for sure check it out
Yeah,
because it sounds like a very good one.
for me it is. I always loved it. So that's why it's always, if it's not on a 90s playlist, it's actually on my playlist, on my driving playlist when I go far.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, for my for my next one, what I
Mhm.
have here is another lady, but this one she brought this song in 1997.
Okay.
Mm, this girl, I really thought, or I was expecting a little bit more from her, but nothing else happened.
Mhm.
It comes from an album called Left of the Middle, and
Okay.
she is Natalie Imbruglia, and the song is Torn. Torn is one of those songs that and that was back in 1997 when
Yeah,
I was kind of listening to these songs,
that's a great
uh,
pick too.
and when I heard this song, I was like, this is very catchy. Like the rhythm really got me, and turns out it picked number one in a lot of countries, but nothing else happened.
Right.
So it was very unfortunate because I feel that girl had or
She had a
has
lot of talent. She actually had some talent. Yeah. Again, it's like one of those like you got to be kidding me. She made it pretty good, and the fact that she didn't do more was it was a little upsetting. You know what I mean? I thought she had an incredible voice. She had one of those like wow, and it's one of those wow. I wish she wasn't a one hit wonder, and she was unfortunately. You know what I mean?
yeah, it was a bit unfortunate, but it was a good song. It
Oh, it
stayed
was.
through the years, and it's one of those songs that actually is part of the playlists that I regularly listen to. So I thought it was good to bring it here
Oh, without a doubt.
because I feel it was really good one.
That is actually so. As you went with another female, I went with another rock song.
There you go.
So, in continuing with that one, I went with Harvey Danger's Flagpole Sitta. So, song as soon as I hear the guitar riff on that song, and hearing paranoia, paranoia, somebody's coming out to get me. It's one of those songs I think about like, wow, this reminds me of my teen years a little bit because when I first got my license, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like someone is coming to get me. You know what I mean? It's always, but it's really me and my friends kind of like racing each other in cars, which was not the greatest idea back in the day. I should really be careful now. But it was one of those songs that, I heard it in the movies, like in the 1998 movie Disturbing Behavior.
Hmm.
Um, it was also in Scooby Doo 2. So it's in those couple of movies that I've seen that I like Disturbing Behavior more than Scooby Doo. Sorry, 2 at least. Sorry, Scooby. I do love Scooby movies, but 2 is a little.
Yeah, the second one was not that good.
It wasn't the best. The first one was
Yeah,
great, but
yeah.
it just has a great beat. Has It's just one of those fun songs, and you're like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, but the fact that he was another one hit wonder, which is a little bit weird, but you know what? We thank him for that wonderful tune he decided to give us because for me it lasts for a while. You know what I mean?
Of course, and then it brings you back to those rebel years where you kind of want to do different things, different stuff, like
Yeah,
a little bit going out of your house and just doing crazy
crazy
shit.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's one of those good lord songs. You know what I mean?
Awesome, awesome. That's a wonderful pick. Oh no. Yeah. If my next one is
Yeah.
another girl, and when I was doing my list, I was going through songs, but I wasn't aware that I was also picking a lot of girls.
That's
And,
okay. There's
and
nothing wrong with that.
no, it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
perfect. And turns out that these songs
Hmm.
are like what made them very wonderful is the fact that they're played by girls, and
Yeah.
it's so this one is one of those examples.
Okay.
Mm, this one comes in an album called Relish from 1995, and the girl is called Joanne Osborne, and the song is One of Us.
Bus.
One of Us is one of those songs that basically you just it sticks in your head, and you can basically go with the chorus all day long.
Hmm.
And it happened to me the same thing that happened to you with the soundtracks, because this is one of those songs that has been used in several movies, in Austin Powers, I
Yes.
think Vanilla Sky, and I think Bruce Almighty
Bruce
as
Almighty, I think,
well.
was in there, yeah, because it was towards the end of the movie. I think
Yeah.
is when he was doing some soul searching. So that's a great song. Just you know what? I was looking at that song. I also love the music video from Joanne Osborne. It was an interesting. First, I give her the credit for doing that a type of song in the '90s because again, that's going against everything that was not supposed to be talked about, and she sang about it. You know,
Yeah.
one of the lyrics is, "What if God was one of us, like a slob, like one of us?" So it makes you wonder. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Even though when you read your Bible, it says Jesus was a carpenter, but was he like what we were in the '90s?
Yeah, exactly.
It makes you think a little bit.
Absolutely. It makes you reflect a little bit on the purpose of the song, on the
Mhm.
message of the song, and what you say, that decade was not entirely focused on these kind of topics.
No,
So this topic was a little bit it needed to be treated like cautiously,
yeah,
because yeah, it could have had other repercussions, but it was a great song.
it was. I remember actually when MTV News reported it too. Like they were like, "This song's going to be aired. You guys got to be careful." You know what I mean? And everyone took that song very well. So thumbs up to Joan Osborne. And not sure what she's up to these days, but man, she did a great song.
Exactly, exactly. That's one of those examples. I don't know where she is. I don't know what she's doing, but that song, it's part of her legacy.
Yes, it always will be her legacy. So that's a good song. Good song to pick too. I wasn't again another song I was looking at too, but I was just like, you know what, I got to do something else. But since we're going to female artists, I actually went to a female artist. This song was actually back in the '80s, but around 1990, DNA featuring Susan Vega's "Tom's Diner."
Tom
You know,
Steiner. Yeah.
that's a song I always loved. The beat and the whole thing, and the drum beat. You know what I mean? And just it was a song, but it was a conversation song. Like no one had a high pitched voice, no one had that low pitched voice, and the music video was great too. So again, it's another iconic '90s song. It was in a ton of movies and stuff, but it's just hearing the beat and thinking of the song. He's like, man, every time I go to a diner, I was like, do I need Tommy's Diner to be playing? So it's one of those songs that everyone enjoys.
And it's a catchy song. It's a
It
song
is.
that's is another example of those songs that gets straight in your head and it's hard to take it out.
Yeah, it took me a little while before I got home because I was listening to it at work for a couple minutes, and I go, and everyone's like, "Can you stop that?"
Yeah, it's one of those songs.
It
Wonderful
is.
pig.
It
Wonderful,
is.
wonderful pig, wonderful pig.
Thank you, thank you. Now let's get on to the next one.
Yeah, another girl, but now that we're talking about sensitive topics,
Mhm.
that this was back in 1997, and putting bad words in songs was not a thing.
Not yet.
And
Well, it was, but it wasn't prohibited.
yeah, like it was like starting, and especially in pop, right?
Yeah,
So when Meredith Brooks brought this song in 1997, and she puts the word in the title,
yeah,
it's like, what?
yeah.
Like, what is this supposed to mean? So she brought pitch,
That
which is which is basically another song that is stays in your head, but this
Mhm.
song, because of this song, she was compared a lot with Alanis Morissette.
Yeah, which
Mhm,
is kind of weird because
mhm.
their tones were totally, I thought they were totally different. You know what I mean? I thought you could tell the difference between Alanis and Meredith because Meredith was like a more of a rocker
Yeah,
than
yeah,
Alanis was. I think Alanis had that pop edge rock look. That her songs are like almost like edgy but poppy, like a rocker edge, like a rocker pop.
yeah.
Where she was full blown, where Melissa was full rocker. So that's a great song too, though.
In this song, she claims to be a bitch, a lover, a child, a mother, a sinner, a saint. So she's all in the same package, and I think that's part of the message she wants to to give in the song. But the
Mhm.
fact that she uses the word bitch in a song, and it's part of and it's basically the title of the song,
Yeah,
it's kind of changed a little bit the rules.
the rules in the culture because back in the day, I mean, when people now are watching, they're going to remember like in the 90's the whole parental advisory stickers on all the
Hmm.
CDs, the cassette tapes because of NWA, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, or some of the rock bands at that time were cursing. Who cares? Music is music. Let them express. That's
Yeah.
if that's how they express it. Because you know what? These songs in the 90's, which I don't know if people realize, now that I'm older, I've realized that there's messages in there that you just don't realize when you were younger. And they tell a story. And that's something I always liked about music. And Brian and I always had that good conversation that there's a story behind these songs.
Mm.
So, that's her story almost, like I feel like, for Melissa Etheridge, because it's one of those, oh boy, I am a bitch, but I'm also a lover and a mother. And I'm going to take care of my family and my husband or boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever she had at that time, and enjoy life.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
that's and that's what it was. And that's something that she proclaims it, and she does a great job on it.
Of course, she does a great job on it, and I appreciated the fact that she brought this song because cursing and bad words was more for hip hop and more for
Yes.
rock, heavy metal. Like it was not for pop rock. Like these kind of songs were not meant to be for cursing or for you know,
No,
or for saying these kind of words. So it changed. It changed a little bit the
I think it changed
rules.
a lot. It changed a lot of the rules
Yeah.
because you couldn't really bleep it out because it really wasn't a bad word. But I think it was Z100, K Rock, and all them back in the New York stations here. I know they didn't bleep it out. They played it the way it was.
The way it was, because I remember by that time they like radio stations brought a censored
Yeah,
version called Nothing in Between. But I mean, the impact is given because of pitch.
yeah.
So that's basically the impact. It would have not had the same impact if the name was different or if that
Right.
word wasn't there. Maybe it would have been another pop song.
It would have been. Yeah. I think what she did is she broke down barriers the right way, and she really brought it out. And she had a couple other good songs, but they never replicated the song "Bitch" at all. And that's something, two thumbs up for her for doing that. To break down the walls.
That's brave. That's brave.
Yeah, it is. Well,
Yeah. What do we have
next,
next?
yeah. Well, what I have next is a little bit. It's borderline 89, 90, but I think we heard it more in the 90's than we did 89. Was Technotronics Pump Up the Jam.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that was more of a 90s song than it was late 80's into turning into the 90's, but I heard it more in the 90's than I did in the 80's. So in reality, hearing that song, I think was the first taste for me of like a hip hop dance song almost because it has that
Mm.
hip hop flair of singing the song, but it had that dance. You're gonna dance up to it. But as you got older, you started hearing it at basketball games, football games, baseball games, hockey games. And, it kind of actually like, oh, yeah, this is actually my jam when I'm practicing my shooting, pregame and all that stuff. So it's a great fun song. Like I said, I dubbed it more in the 1990s than I did the 89. So I heard it more in the 90s than I did in the late 80s. So for me, it was Technotronics Pump Up the Jam because that was just a fun song.
It is a really good song. It's a really fun song. And one thing that gets my attention right now is the fact that I don't remember or I don't have in my mind a song in the current era that we are right now in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
a song with that kind of mix, like dance and hip hop. Like I think it's something that is becoming extinct. Like it's because I think music is migrating to other
Mm-hmm.
dimensions, other genres, and that mix between hip hop and dance is rare. Like
It's very rare.
it's not something that is common now as it like in the same
In
it
the
was in the
in the late
90's.
80s and early 90s, in the
Yeah.
late early to mid 90s, that was like a huge part of it.
Yeah, and I remember, for example, Dr. Alban was one of those singers that also was
Mm-hmm.
kind of similar, like that. To Unlimited,
Yeah, Too
there
Unlimited
was
was another one.
Black Box,
Yep.
like there were kind of different artists that
Yeah.
brought this trend of dance hip hop,
Yeah.
but out of the sudden it became decaying for
It
some
it,
reason.
it decayed in the mid 90s because it feels like it was like when the 80s had the freestyle mixes like Stevie B, Noel, Shannon, all those guys, the freestylers, you know what I mean, from the mid
Hmm.
80s to late 80s, and then it died off to these, to Technotronics in the early 90s, and then by the mid 90s they kind of disappeared, like faded.
Yeah,
But
it
in
faded.
but in my heart they still play on because
Of
I hear them.
course. Yeah,
So
of course. It's there. It's there.
it's there.
I
But that's the beauty part, so far, like, we have 10 songs between the both of us, 5 and 5, and let me tell you, there's nothing wrong. These are great one-hit wonders we're talking about. And I mean, this if this discussion was on Playlist Wars, my god, everyone would be going nuts because no one knows who to pick. This is what I love about mine. Don't worry about it. These are our picks and there's no voting because I'm having a tough time voting.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I like deciding about 10 songs or 5 songs. It's so hard in a decade that was full of hits. It was full of very, very wonderful songs. Mm,
Yes.
and actually, I I have more songs because when I was going through my list, it was hard to decide, right? It was hard for me, like, okay, but I need to leave this one out, but
Yeah.
uh, and it's so hard.
I think we might be doing a part two of this, in the near future. We might be doing a part two. Just
We
because
might.
there's just so many songs. We're just not even tipping the iceberg on just this genre of 90s one hit wonders. There's so many other great songs, you know what I mean? So we might have to talk after the show. We might be talking about part two coming out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. And
So,
if I can mention, for example, if I could have an honorable mention or
oh, yeah.
something, or a bonus track that I just can't go to bed
Oh, yeah. More.
without saying it is is the favorite song. It's my wife's favorite song,
Okay.
and for some reason I don't even understand why she loves this song that much, but she loves it, and for some reason it resonated with me
Mhm.
like throughout these years, and that song is "Bittersweet Symphony" from The Verve.
Reverb. Yes.
Mm, I don't know, like I know there was something with the Rolling Stones back in time. I think there was. I think Richard Ashcroft
Hmm.
he asked for he needed to ask for permission because this like the the instrumental part was part of a Rolling Stones song
Okay.
with the Andrew Oldham Orchestra, and well, they made it work, and it turned out to be one of those songs that it's basically unforgettable. Like
It's the beginning of the song to the end of the song is unreal. I was thinking about Verve Pipe too, actually, which is kind of funny. And it was in one of those good movies that I watched, Cruel Intentions.
Oh,
So so towards the end of the movie where that song comes on, because it looks like the young girl won the battle, beats the evil twin,
yeah.
the evil stepsister and all that. So that's a great pick too. Again, it's just there's so many great songs. But I went back to back dance songs on this one. So you ready to be knocked your socks off on this one? I'm gonna bring back Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby back. Can't go
That's a
wrong. That's one of those one hit wonders. I think he had two good songs the whole entire 90s. This is one of them. This was what catapulted him
oh yeah.
to rock star with that freaking haircut he had on his head. And it's funny. It was just one of those catchy tunes. He did get a lot of flack on it because somebody said it was way too similar to their song. And he's like, no, there's a huge difference. And he tries to explain it, which is kind of funny. But he was always known as Ice Ice Baby, Vanilla Ice. Him and that, I'll never forget that. Remember back in the days, the CD cases came in these big CD cases, and the CD is this big, and you get all this box, and you're like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll never forget the Vanilla Ice box. It was all black with a V with all different colors, and you see him in that weird suit. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, whoever thought of it was a great marketing, but you 2023, no, you ain't doing that. But
Yeah,
I gotta give Vanilla Ice a little respect. He did make it into a rock song, and that was a kick-ass song a little bit. I will say it.
absolutely. Yeah, Ice Ice Baby. Actually, that song was used even for TV commercials and I mean it's one of those songs that it's unforgettable. Teenagers from nowadays, they can stick with the Ice Ice
Ice
Baby,
Baby.
but they don't know where it comes from
Yeah.
because it's way too back in time for them.
Right.
Mm, But it's another song that it's part of that 90's legacy. And as you said, like we need to find a way to record a second part because this
Uh, I
topic,
I think we are going to be recording a second part. We're just going to figure out a date, you and I. But
yeah,
stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Part two will happen probably in the next couple. We're going to give it a couple of weeks. Sleevy G's got some guests he's got to finish off first.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we're definitely going to do a part two because I think, like you said, we're not even tipping the iceberg. And matter of fact, I might even try to get Brian to come on too, for even
It would be
for
fantastic.
even for a half a show to get Brian on and just talk 90s. You know what I mean? I got to see how his schedule is, and I got to figure out how we can get this done because that would make for a great conversation for an hour, all three of us.
That would be wonderful, wonderful because the 90's is a crucial decade to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot from the 90's, not only from the big stars,
Mm-hmm.
but also from these one hit wonders, the
Yeah.
songs that came out and then nobody knew anything else about these artists. Where did they go? What happened to them? But the
Yeah.
90's had and it was hard for an artist to survive in a very aggressive market because I remember by the 90's,
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Martin and Enrique Iglesias,
Oh, yeah.
all the Latin explosion was coming up, and like having it- it's a it's a hard time
Yeah.
for artists to bring songs and to put songs there that people could listen to and that could kick uh, others' asses. Like
Yeah.
it's brutal what One Hit Wonders did. Like
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's
I
not
mean,
easy.
and you're talking about Ricky Martin and Enrique Iglesias Jr., man. You're talking about two icons. First of all, Ricky Martin, 1980 Menudo kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Unbelievable singer. And then he comes up as a grown man, and you got Living la Vida Loca.
La Vida Loca.
Look, I mean, that song will always resonate with me, but he was not a one hit wonder, though.
No.
He had the Cup of Life in
Oof.
'94. He's got all these songs that you just don't realize. And, and that's something, I wish we did a topic on playlist was, the Latino music, but a lot of people didn't get it.
Yeah,
There'll only be like you or me. But see, this is what's great about here that one day I will be talking about that or a Latino artist because they need to be aware of this. You know what I mean? So and this is the best part when you get two guys living in two different countries right now,
yeah.
but you enjoy the company, you're enjoying life, and that's what this is about, man.
Exactly. That's what life is about. We need to be happy and we need
Yep.
to enjoy every single moment.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
with that.
feel and I feel music is what we need. Like when we have music, we are happy,
Mhm.
we sing, we are in another mood.
Mhm.
Music is universal, and that's part of the things that people should understand on days like these ones, right?
Mhm.
Mm, but yeah, there must be a way. Like we need to find a spot to talk about how also that Latin explosion. Because, for example, artists like reggaeton artists like
Yeah.
Bad Bunny that won a Grammy 2 nights ago
Yep. Congratulations to him too.
would have not been there if it wasn't because of that Latin explosion back in the 90's. Like
And that's
everything
the
is a
thing.
process.
It is, and that's what something as a growing up as a Hispanic in New Jersey, it was hard because my parents taught me to speak English first and not being Spanish. So I really didn't get into the Spanish music until really when Ricky Martin, and I
Mm,
started learning about reggaeton and all that.
mm.
I'm like, I started getting into that and slowly, and that could be another good conversation for this show too. But we'll definitely be bringing a lot of good stuff, like I said, to the show.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We're bringing very, very good ideas,
Yeah.
and this topic, this 90's one hit wonders, is is just a small example of how music is that important
Yeah.
for life and for the culture.
Mhm.
It's wonderful what the 90's, that decade did to the upcoming decades.
Yeah, exactly. And especially for you, like you said, where you started to learn how to speak English too, that taught you too. So that just shows you the example of what the 90's could do for anybody, especially one hit wonders. And people just don't realize it these days. And now, like today, we're talking about it. And, I think people might be a little bit more aware. And I hope so, because, this is what I love. It's showing what helps other people, how to cope with things, how to speak English, how to deal with life. And then you're thinking of the words like, wow, maybe this is part of their life. We just didn't realize it.
Exactly. And now that you mention it, the 90's, we didn't have access to internet that easy, or
Oh, no.
maybe like times were totally different. No cell phones, no Androids. Like the times were very, very different. So when it comes to um, to the 90's,
Mhm.
it's a decade where you had to learn by yourself. Like
Yeah.
you didn't have too many things around, too many distractions. If you want to learn it, then you just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Mm, but now there are a lot of distractions. It's harder to learn because when you're starting, then something distracts you, and the world is a little bit more revolved
Hmm.
right now than it was back in the 90's, where when
Right.
you needed to focus, you needed to there was nowhere else to look at.
Right.
It was if you wanted to learn that song, you just print the lyrics, find a dictionary, and just start.
Yeah. And that's sometimes is the best way.
Exactly, exactly. So I feel the 90's really marked a difference for everyone, like and not only musically but also culturally, like
Yeah.
what it did to the culture, what it did to the art, what it did to the world. I feel the 90's was a very, very important decade, and I'm really happy that well, my teenager years were in that decade, because that decade really taught me a lot.
Yeah. I think it taught a lot of more people than they realize. But as we continue on, what do you got next for us?
Well, no. Latin Jukebox. Latin Jukebox. We have a conversation with a Latin
Mhm.
producer called Luis Martinez. He's part of 2 a.m. Burrito, which is
I
a,
saw that.
a very good producer, a production company in back in San Diego, California. So we had a conversation with him because he comes from a Latin perspective, from a Latin root. He was born in Colombia, but he went through different things and different ways. So he
Mm,
has a lot of music inside him. Tango, he has rap, he has hip
nice.
hop, he has a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's the next conversation that we have. It's cooking. It's cooking. We already recorded it. I'm just in the edition part,
Okay.
but hopefully it'll be out in a couple of weeks.
I can't wait to hear that one.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be good. It's a good story. It's a very, very
I
interesting
actually
story.
can't wait. I just saw that too, that he was posting for you. And then actually I think he's just started following me too. So
He would be like he's wonderful. Like you should bring him.
I might have to. I'm gonna see if I can get him on. But now that we're on to the next song, I know the sleevers want to know what else do we have?
Okay. What else do we have in terms of the 90's? That's a huge decade
Mhm.
that brought us a lot of wonderful songs. There's this one song that when I heard it, when I listened to it for the first time, I wasn't sure like if it was a ballad or if it was pop or
Mhm.
I and even today it's hard for me to classify it into one genre. And I think that that was part of the key things from this song. This song was from 1993, and the music video of this song was one of the most played by MTV because it could
Oh,
you would remember the B girl
yes.
dancing and
That's
of
why I went,
course
ooh, as soon as you said that, I already know who you were talking about.
yeah, and No Rain from by Blind Melon is that song that play was playing one time after the other, and then the music video, it's like how can't you identify that song? Like the moment you see the B girl dancing, you immediately know it's No Rain
Yeah,
from Blind Melon.
that's such a great song. And you know what? And I heard Blind Men the other day. I was on the radio on my playlist I was listening to. And the first thing that hits you when you think about that song, as soon as you hear do 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 that the first chords, and you think of the B girl dancing in the fields or starting the talent show, the video. So it does make you think, and I wonder whatever happened to that B girl. She grew up, but I wonder if she grew up to be the B mom. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny, that we're talking about that. So B girl, if you're around, let us know how you're doing. Hit us up
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Twitter or on Facebook or something. But that's a great song though. That's a great pick.
yeah. I remember, and that's one of those songs that I wasn't able to classify. Like, is this pop? Is this ballad? Like it's hard, but
It's
it's
it,
very good.
you're right. You can't classify that because it's like it is kind of like a ballad, but it really isn't. It's like a pop, but it really isn't. It's kind of like a rock, folk,
Yeah,
folkish.
folk.
It's one of those. I don't know what category it really belongs into, but it's just one of those catchy tunes. And it's kind of funny, no matter how many people say, "Oh, I didn't like that song," you catch them singing it. So you mean you like it. So I love that song. So that's a great pick, Andres. Very good, man.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna go back to a little rock and roll now. I did my little dance, hey, shake my butt. Now we're gonna go to a little more edgier. We're gonna go with Epic Faith No More.
Oh,
You know,
epic.
yeah. So for me, I found this song in a really bad movie. I wouldn't even give it a B movie. I give this like a D movie. It was one of and it was God, it was so bad. It's not even funny. It's an ex NFL player who's in Beverly Hills. The name of the movie is Taking Over Beverly Hills. It
No.
was it's that bad. It was really bad. I think it was either 90 91. But it's kind of funny. It's an ex NFL player who's going to take on these bad guys who's stealing from the roads of Beverly Hills. And this song actually plays in the movie. But I remember the song, but I remember the damn scene too because it was so bad. It's him, looks like he's running up the street what looks like to be a football, but it's not. And he's just like punching people out. I'm like, dude, this is not the NFL, but the song is what made the movie.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It was just a perfect iconic song. Anytime I hear that, I actually get kind of like pumped up, like, yeah, let's go. So
yeah,
it's just one of those songs for me that is like a good pump up song in the 90s.
absolutely. That's one of those songs that brings you energy. And it's one of those songs that when you're not in the chorus, you might think it's like I don't know, rap or
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. But then it comes to the rhythmic part, which
Yeah.
is the chorus, and you're like, oh my God, this sounds different. And and that different differentiation of sounds is what made this song a classic.
It
It's a
did.
very, very good pick.
It is. And that's why it's like it has to be in there because like I said, part two is gonna be hard, but this was even harder just to put 10 songs in tonight.
No, absolutely, absolutely. No, it's hard. It's hard to put like when you have a whole set of songs.
Mhm.
Why can I? Why can't I put this one if I have this one? And it's so hard. Like the list is huge.
It is. Well, my friend, we only got three more each to go.
Yeah, we do, we do.
It's kind of funny, as much as we are catching up a lot between you and me, and we're talking about all these great songs. But what's your next one that you loved so much in the 90s?
Well, one of those songs that really caught me in the 90s and is part of those moody or energetic songs that really has a catchy sound. I found like more interest in this song nowadays because the singer is Canadian and the artist is called Snow and the song is called
Yes,
Informer.
yes, I love it. Yes,
And it's funny because this artist, he was raised on classic rock, but Jamaicans moved into his neighborhood because the prime minister by that time, Pierre Trudeau, revised the immigration policies, and reggae became a huge part of his life. This song, and it made more sense these days because Daddy Yankee made uh, kind of Spanish. It's not the exact same translation, but
mm-hmm.
he sampled the song
Yes,
and he brought in 2019 a song called Con Calma
Karma
with Snow actually.
and Katy Perry
So
too. The remix, actually,
the remix,
I actually like the remix because I was like, wait a minute. And I'll never forget it because I'm listening and I hear Katy Perry singing the song, and she did a beautiful job with that too. And Danny, and it's kind of funny. I'm listening, I go, holy shit, that's Snow in the background. Dude, he's reprising his role. That's so awesome. And I'm gonna have to make a confession on Snow. I did buy his album.
oh, you did?
I bought the whole album. I got
Is
to
it
admit,
good?
vaguely remembering it, I thought it was good because I was that type of guy. It didn't do very well on the charts, but I know like he had actually a slow song, like a slow jam on there that was really good, I thought. But Snow was his Informer was his number one shot to the fame, and he pretty much went down. But it was kind of funny. It was the way there was a part in the songs like the brown people don't realize I'm who I am. I was born in Toronto. You know what I mean? It's like
He
you're
was
like,
born in Toronto. Yeah.
and I remember MTV doing the first words to that song, and you're like, that makes no sense in English. Keep it the way you have it, because when you're reading the lyrics, you're like, what?
Yeah, yeah,
It made no sense. So you know what, Snow, you did it right. God bless you, brother.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. But that song is one of those songs that back in time, back in the 90s, it it created another environment in
Mhm.
terms of music, and that's one of like that's the kind of music that kind of became extinct because we don't hear that much
Mhm.
nowadays from like those kind of genres.
Yeah,
But it was good. It was
it
good.
was. It was really good, actually. Well, I'm gonna go to like a little bit like no, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a slow jam. I call it like a happy jam with a love twist to it. And that was Big Mountain Baby, I Love Your Way.
Oh yeah,
I will
that's
that that song every time I hear it, it kind of has a special place in my heart. And it's just one of those songs. I remember seeing the music video. Again, it's performed by reggae artists, Big
mm,
Mountain, you know what I mean? And it was in the movie actually Cool Runnings. That was their big song out of the soundtrack at that time. And it's a Jamaican bobsledding team. So why not? It might as well make it perfect. It's just the lyrics of the song and hearing how this band sings it, and you see them like all happy and dancing. It's just one of those songs that I love, and just hearing the way that the lead singer sings it is so
passionate.
yeah. There's more to passion. There's another level that I can't
Yeah,
even describe how much he loves singing that song. It's just one of those things, and every time I hear "Ooh, baby, I love your way"
yeah.
every day. It's just one of those things that you just love. And I know I'm going to get flack for singing on my karaoke days here. I'm a horrible singer, but I don't care. This is my show.
No, no, you have to do it. You have to do it. No,
It's just
it's
one of
so
those
good.
things.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that because that song is very similar to the one from Shanita Connor. Like
Yes.
it's one of those songs that you can pick the lyrics very easily, and you can kind of follow the message, follow the lyrics because it goes smooth and the
Yes.
message is so clear. I loved it. And there's a Spanish version of this song.
Yes, there is. I do remember that. Yes, it did come out later in the years, but I do
Mm,
remember that Spanish version. There's a lot of English Spanish crossovers as we get older,
yeah, yeah,
but that
yeah.
was one of them. I do remember that.
Wonderful pick. Wonderful pick.
Thank you, thank you.
That's one of the songs I like a lot.
Oh
I
no,
swear it was one.
that's awesome. That's great to hear. Oh man, we're down to two more songs each. It's just getting better and better.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll just, with no further ado, what is your next song, my friend?
I had to put the Latin vibe somehow,
Okay.
and so I had to bring this song that almost all North America knows, sings, and dances because I've seen people from Canada dancing this song, Macarena from Los del Rio from 1993.
Yes. It was I
Mm,
gotta laugh because
I, I had to bring, like, I was in doubt. I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring it because it's not one of my personal favorites. But then I thought, look, I need to put some Latin thing here.
I'll give you credit, man, because I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't put any kind of Latin flavor on my list this time. But it was just funny. I was just talking to somebody, I think it was at work either today or yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, so let's just go back to the 90s and bring out the Macarena right now. And it was just so funny that you brought that up. That's why I was like, oh my God, yes.
It's unbelievable how this song became a massive hit. 14 consecutive weeks on the top of the Billboard charts. This song was used. I know we don't. I made a promise with you, and we are not gonna touch politics. But
Yeah.
this song was used by Bill Clinton for his
Oh, I know.
campaign,
And that's
and
okay. That's something different. That's we're not talking about the politics. We're just explaining where it was.
yeah,
Big
yeah.
difference, people.
This song also played in the Olympic Games of Atlanta. I think it was in the NBA one time.
It was.
It was part of a pregame of a Super Bowl back in 1997.
And I think it was the Yankee Stadium that broke the world record for the Macarena song that everyone danced to it. Like the whole
It's
stadium.
um, it's amazing. It's amazing the impact of this song, and the reason why it's not like one of my personal favorites is because it's very repetitive.
Hmm.
It repeats a lot itself. So it doesn't like the message is not that big, but the rhythm and the impact is like outstanding. I need to take my hat off with this song because this song came out of the nowhere and kicked everything.
It really was one of those songs. But if you think about it, it even brought like the songs I Like It Like That really to
Uh,
bring the Spanish singing, even though it was a mixture of Spanish and English. Macarena was the full Spanish song, you know what I mean? But you know, you bring in like Tito Puente with that and some other Latin old school Latin artists, and they're bringing that Latin flavor back. And that's like you said, paved the way for artists like Bad Bunny, Daddy Yankee, all these
yeah,
guys. So this is the best foundation you're talking about.
absolutely, absolutely. These like songs like this one opened the gate for what we have right now. So I needed to give some credit to Los del Rio and Macarena, which was a hit from 1993.
Which, you know, it's kind of funny when you looked at the music video. You didn't realize, no one realized before that video came out. We think it was like two young hip kids. It was two old guys. One
Yeah,
had the hair with the curls in the back, like he's Don Juan DeMarco. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It was funny though, because you're seeing all these guys, these older guys with all these girls, and you're like, what? And it was not made by two youngins. It was made by
no,
two older gentlemen. And God bless them for breaking down the walls.
yeah, and that's another message that maybe it was brought to different people
Mhm.
that how music was not only for the young. Music can be made by anyone,
Yeah.
and by that point of time, well, I need to say like artists like Cher, artists like mm, uh, Stevie Wonder, like artists that by that point of time were big, were but they were producing massive hits.
Yeah.
But these ones, they came out and said, you know what? Music can be created by anyone.
That
And
it
that was the
is.
message.
That was a
The-
good
the-
message.
And 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 that's basically what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Music can be played by anyone.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess now
Yeah,
it's my pick next. So I
it
went
is.
one that I would use when I'm driving. It's one of those songs that is a true rock song and it resonates a little bit with me. I went with Tom Cochran, excuse me. Life is a Highway. Now, I know I forgot who remade it and they made it fantastic, but the original is the music video to this. Tom Cochran did a music video and Life is a Highway. I tell you that much. And one thing is that I love the way he did this video is that he's on the road somewhere playing his guitar on mountaintops, dirt roads, lizards walking by him. You know, it's just one of those fun loving songs. Excuse me. And I love it because when I'm driving in the car, I'm singing top of my lungs with the roof open. I don't care. And I'm screaming
Yeah.
life is a highway and I'm driving it.
And the scenery and the recreation, it's very good. Tom Cochrane, very, very good pick. Well, it was not one of those songs that I used to listen that much, but I identified that one and I know what it is. And
Mhm.
it's a very, very wonderful pick.
Thank you. I mean, all our picks, but between you and mine, they're unbelievable.
I mean, we can put a party now with those
Oh,
songs, and all the songs would be like top,
yes. And everyone would be singing it too. So,
of course.
so we come down to the final song for us.
Yeah, the final song to me, which is I'm not sure if it's my favorite song of the 90's, but it means a lot to me
Okay.
because of the message, I guess. And it's a song interesting because when I was going through the history of this song, mm, this song was like this song was released in 1998, but then in 2006, the drummer of this band, Semisonic. He said that Payola
Mhm.
was the way for them to turn Closing Time into a massive hit. It cost close to 700,000 to 800,000 to get Closing Time on the air. And I mean, thank God they did it, because
Yeah.
that song, when I listened to it for the first time, I was like, oh my God, what's this? It's the music, the lyrics,
Hmm.
the message. It has a lot, and it was showcased also in a movie called Friends with Benefits
Yes,
with
with Justin
Justin.
Timberlake and Mila Kunis. It's actually
Yeah,
one of my favorite movies. He
he's
kept
very good.
he kept on saying it was Third Eye Blind. He goes, "It's a band called Semisonic." That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
great movie.
It was a good one. It was a good one, and that song uh, closes a little bit the my set list for today. But this song, mm, every time, like, I can't skip this song. Every time it starts playing, there's no way I can skip it. Like, I just need to go with the lyrics, go with the flow. I just like it a lot.
It reminds me when I was hanging out the bar, bouncing at the bar, and I'm screaming, "It's closing time!" And I would sing just that, but I'm like, you really need to go home though because I'm drinking your beer. Thanks for paying for it, but no, it was just one of those great songs, iconic. You know what I mean? It's a shame that they were considered a one-hit wonder because they did have not the huge success that they had with the closing time, but they had some great tunes at that point.
It did, like, it there's one sentence that basically resonates a lot to me with when it comes to that song. It's like every new beginning comes from some other beginnings, and something like that.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear that sentence coming, it's like they're right. Every time there's a new beginning, there's a new opportunity, and and as we move along, we're also closing cycles, and it's a powerful song.
It is.
I
It is.
really love that song.
Well, I went with a fun-loving drunk song for my last one. I went with everyone's favorite, Chumbawamba Tub Thumping.
There you go.
You gotta if you're gonna end the night right, let's end it with a drunken song that everyone sings and doesn't know the lyrics, and everyone just is, I gotta piss the night away. You know what I mean? It was just one of those fun, dumb songs that it is completely a one hit wonder. I did buy their CD album. I did remember because it was the green. It was a green guy with like, oh, it was just a horrible album cover. I'll never forget it. And their actually CD was not the greatest. I was like, you know what? That's is why they're going to be one hit wonders. And but that song brings back a lot of memories. Hanging out with my friends, going to hang out somewhere we're not supposed to, or try to get into the bars and start drinking some
Yeah,
places. So
that song became.
it brings a lot of great memories, that song, you know what I mean? Even when I became 21 after the 90s, you know what I mean? That song still resonates, sitting at the bar with some friends and we all go crazy.
That song became very, very popular by the by 1998, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. About
And
senior year of my high school.
and when I heard that song, it was like, oh my God, what's this? And then I thought I knew a little bit of English, and then they come with the name of the song, Thump Thumper, Thump Thumping. I was like, what the heck is that? And who sings it? Who's the artist? And then they said it's Chumbawamba. Like,
Yeah,
oh my, it sounds like an African thing. Like,
but it's not. It's an Irish. These are Irish people. It was kind of funny. I'm like, tap 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 tap. No, forget it. Just play that song again.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It's a fun song.
it was a fun song, man. Wow.
It, it came in video games, I guess. I think it was in one of FIFA.
One of the
In
FIFA, one of the 90, it was either 98 or 99 FIFA soccer game. Yes, I do remember that because that's the only reason I bought the FIFA game because that song was in it.
yeah,
It brings
yeah.
back a lot of good memories, like I said. Wow.
It's an awesome pick. Oh
It
my god.
is. I know. It's just so much you could talk about that too. But I gotta say, Andres, 10 songs each. Perfect one-hit wonders, man.
No, wow.
And
It's wonderful. We can
and
make a playlist with all these songs,
yeah,
and there's no way to skip any of them.
no, no, definitely not. And you know what? I am gonna see if I can get Brian maybe to jump on a little bit for 90's One Hit Wonders Part 2. See if he wants to join us on that. We'll try to work out a day or a morning. Might be like a Sunday morning where all three of us can get together and
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
and kind of be all together for one episode. It'll be really cool. So I'll try to work something with him and try to work with you and see what we could do. But I gotta thank you for coming on tonight, man. This is awesome, and it's kind of funny, like you said. It's almost a year ago that I was on your show,
Yeah.
Latin Jukebox, and it was kind of funny. And I'm like, I was telling Brian, I'm like, dude, I'm going on this. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I go, finally, there's another Latino besides me. So I was like all excited. Now we're seeing more and more. So that's even better to see the Latino community. Even the Latinas are coming out. Never mind Latinos, all the Latinas too, man.
Yeah, all
It's
of the Latinos.
it's really good to see positive people doing positive things. You know what I mean? So definitely, it's awesome to have you here tonight. It's been great seeing you too. It's almost been a while,
Yeah.
but that's going to change because we're going to be bringing him for part two, 90s hit wonders. And we're probably going to do some Latin flair on this one on part two. So who knows what's going to happen, at that point.
We can throw a lot of ideas. We can brainstorm to see what we
We
can
definitely,
come up with. But I appreciate coming to the show, talking about music, bringing not only the Latin vibes, but also the music and how the music kind of impacts like different generations, right? So I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Alex. You are awesome. I really wish we can like talk like more frequently, but I know like times are hard and the schedules are very tight. But it's amazing how I got you on my show like 1 year ago, and 1 year later I'm on your show. Like
yeah.
this is fantastic. I really love this energy, and I appreciate that you had me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Well, it's again an honor having you here. It's been awesome. But let's tell everyone, where can they find you now these days?
Thank you very much. Yeah, the Latin Jukebox. Well, basically, I come and go between Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, you can find me at Rocola del Rolo. And on Instagram, you can find me at Latin Jukebox _. Those are, for now, my two most frequent social media networks. And if you have any questions, or if you want to jump in, or if you want to suggest, or if you want to send a message or whatever, you can always do it in the email, the Latin Jukebox at outlook.com. So those are the different media to find me. And of course, anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can find the Latin Jukebox. Spotify, Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, like any podcast environment that you have, or the one you prefer, the Latin Jukebox is there, just bringing you a little bit of good vibes and good energy, because music is a lovely universal language.
That it is. That it is, my friend. Once again, I really appreciate Andres. Please check him out at Latin Jukebox. He is truly a genuine man that I could talk to, and we talk great about music, and I can't thank you enough. Again, I'm still honored it was a year ago that I was on your show. I'm honored still that. And I am glad that you were here tonight, and we're definitely going to be doing this again. So guys, check them out at Latin Jukebox on Twitter, on Instagram. If you have anything, check them out on all the podcast radio stations. Just like me right now, I got the website sleevegpodcast.com. I blog and I have notes of the shows on there too. So check that out. Check me out on Spotify, Good Pods, Apple Outcast, iHeartRadio. We're all over the place, all of us. Please support all us indie podcasters. This is the best way of doing things. So tonight, I want to thank you. Thank everybody. Love, peace, and happiness. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.